Hey everyone, Josh Sigurdson here of World Alternative Media, and Ron Paul continues to tell it like it is. Recently on Russia Today, Ron Paul told Peter Lavelle that regardless of whether or not Donald Trump is non-interventionist, the shadow government will still likely pull him into war via false flag attacks. Check it out.
Here. Also, you have like maybe Saudi Arabia vis-a-vis Syria, Turkey. There's a lot of elements out there that want to push things along because they simply don't know what to expect from Donald Trump.
Yes, and that's right. They may do this. It might not be the president's doing. And sometimes, the false flags and the unintended consequences are beyond the control of even a sincere president that would like that not to happen. So it is true, those things could happen. But I, quite frankly, think it would be the personal belief of Obama that he probably doesn't want to go out with a roaring war going on and making the world a lot less safe. But I wouldn't argue against it, that impossibility. I think that is very possible. But also the reason why even when Trump is president, there'll be some things out of his control too, and he doesn't like to get pushed around. So if it looks like that we're getting pushed around in the world, his reflexes will be rather quick, and they're not going to be wishy-washy, and so that should concern people as well.
And he went on.
Is that people never want the war, and the peace candidate, in a way, Trump was more peaceful because he wanted to at least talk to Russia. And I think people, the average person, likes that idea. They know it's very costly and they pay all the bills. But what they have to contend with is part of the deep state that controls the media that builds up the war fever. So they just think of how reluctant the American people were about going into the Middle East. But then there was the war drums beating, and they get converted, and they get scared, and that is what's going on right now. Putin becomes the monster. He has nuclear weapons and all this sort of thing. So I think it's part of the media, a major part of the media that participates in the war propaganda. Yeah. But I believe if the people got to talk with each other, they're not going to get together. Do you think the American people, if you have 10,000 American people and 10,000 Russians get together and say, hey, we ought to have a war here. I mean, this peace is for the birds. And, if we have a war, we can build airplanes. It doesn't happen that way. It happens by governments. And then if the government's not acting right, it's the secret government, it's the shadow government, it's the CIA and the false flags and the accidents that happen. And then the people get angry because if you don't get angry at your enemies, then you're unpatriotic. And we all have to be patriotic. But we can be patriotic and friends too, but unfortunately, and this is why I'm optimistic, is I think the media has been exposed and the government's been exposed. Don't believe the government. I love the fact that 68% of the American people don't trust the government. Probably one of the reasons why Trump won. The military-industrial complex endorses Keynesianism. There's domestic Keynesianism, but there's military Keynesianism. And that's why the weapons are being built. And they build them and throw them away. There's waste. They stop building them. They build aircraft carriers that don't work, and it goes on and on. And if other countries, want to keep building, let them build them. It just takes money away from the mouths of individuals. This whole idea that we can solve all these problems and that our exceptionalism, I think it backfires on us when you go around the world and saying, even if we have good values, my argument has always been that we should exemplify them. We should set a standard. So if we do well and we do better with our free society, maybe other countries would emulate us. Now that's spreading a message, but you can't spread a noble, good, thorough moral message by using force and intimidation and bombs and wars. That doesn't work, and that's what we've resorted to too often.
So if I could summarize everything you just said, answering my question, would that be the Trump doctrine that you would like to see American foreign policy emulate?
Yeah, in a way, sure. If he could become a non-interventionist, that would be great. But the pressures would be too great. I mean, his personality would resist on that. The times that we live in would resist it. The deep state would create a crisis, and I think you even suggested, well, what if something happens even before he's elected? Some crisis is created, and maybe not directly by Obama. Then it overrides all those good instincts of the people, because then it's nationalism and then it's patriotism, protecting the troops and don't vote. I mean, even Trump, who is less militant than the rest of the presidents so far, he said we have to rebuild the military.
Okay,
now, regardless of the president, the same people are always in charge. The global shadow government includes the CFR, the Trilateral Commission, Bilderberg's, CIA, the United Nations, not to mention the central bankers, the ESF, and the list goes on. While the Democrats have been able to transfer a lot of power to the president in order to implement liberal policies that would perpetuate market rigging, the Hegelian dialectic, money manipulation, subsidized monopolies, and so on, this will not change the fact that indeed the shadow government still has a chokehold on any president. As a military-industrial complex created terrorists through years of destabilization of cultures that were far undeveloped due to ideological insanity and immorality, they then armed the terrorist enemies they created and destroyed countries who didn't bend over to the United States and global financial system. This led to millions of dead men, women, and children. Trump will be able to change very little if he is sincere and not a limited hangout as is suspected. He's already backtracking and pushing forward neocon warhawks like John Bolton, Rudy Giuliani, and Mitt Romney for Secretary of State. People who want to nuke and destroy. People who want continued instability with places like Russia and, of course, the Middle East. Ron Paul is absolutely right in what he says. Bang on, as per usual. It's refreshing to see him talk such extreme truth after all those years trying to educate people from his position in Congress. He's a once-in-a-lifetime politician, if you can even call him that. He's more of a fearless fighter for liberty, and that's how he will go down in history. All while these globalist monsters will forever be seen for what they are, even if the media won't allow for such dialogue today. As long as voluntary individuals stand up today, the New World Order will fall tomorrow. Thanks for watching, everyone. Check the links below. GoFundMe, Patreon. We can't do it without you. Any donation is very much appreciated. And if you want to save 10% on your tickets to Anarchapulco in Mexico, type in promo code WHAM. That's WAM. So again, check the links below. Thanks for watching. This is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth. Be the change.